Hi everyone, so today I want to show you this card, which I'm calling an Octagonal Gatefold Aperture Card. So that's what it looks like. You open it up, and then inside here I'm going to need to put a white piece on, but then that will be where you write your message. And obviously it stands up nicely on your desk. It folds flat. It'll fit in an envelope for it'll fit in an envelope for a 6x6 card, because that's the footprint of it. The papers I've used today are from Antonio Makes' new digital kits. So these are the beautiful background papers. And then these are from another kit. I can't remember. I will put it on the screen what it is. But yeah, so it's quite a nice little card. The one, basically this was sent to me as a suggestion by, I think it was Laura with inked fingers. I think it was her. Again, I'll qualify it on the screen. And she'd seen somebody else do this. And again, I'll put who had done this, who she saw, on the screen as well, because I can't remember off the top of my head. My memory is atrocious. But yeah, so she'd seen it, and what they'd actually done is they didn't have these flaps. They literally just cut. So if you imagine it like that, with it just cut out. And I quite liked it cut out, but I thought, you know what, let me try it with flaps. Let's not cut the bits off, let's leave them on. And also the one that she'd seen had like eyelets here, and it was ribbon, it was tied with ribbon top and bottom. And I quite like that, but I don't think it needs it. It's not that, you know, it's not that bulky that it's going to be a problem. And I don't think that the one that she saw had this bit here in it, the top fold card. But I just thought that sort of, you know, solves the problem of having to write on the back. So yeah, so that's the card. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this video, you're going to need a base card that is 6x12 and also a matte card that is 5 3/4 by 11.5. I'll go through the other mats and the pattern and whatever later, but let's start with these two, because these are the two that need scoring. Okay, so you're going to put your 6x12 base card in, and you're going to score it at 3 inches and at 9 inches. So just like you would for a gatefold. Okay, I'm going to put that to one side, and then while we've got the scoreboard out, bring your 5 3/4 by 11.5 piece out, and you're going to score, sorry, 5 3/4 by 11.5, and you're going to score at 5 3/4. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and burnish the edges. Now on the base card, what you want to do is take your card that you folded, and from the corner along, so along the top and down, all the corners along and down, you know, whatever, you want to measure 1 3/4 and make a mark. So from this corner along the top, 1 3/4, from this corner along the top, 1 3/4, and then I'll turn it round, do the same again. So along that line, 1 3/4, 1 3/4, and you want to do that on all 4 sides. So when you've done all 4 sides, you're then just going to draw, you can either draw a line or you can just go ahead and straight cut it. So you're just literally going to cut all of these corners off. So I don't know if you can see my pencil marks. So as you can see, I've just drawn those on. So I'm now going to go ahead and I'm going to cut across all those lines. So you end up with this, which is your Octagonal Gatefold card. So now we're going to do the same thing with this one. So again, you want to measure in 1 3/4 inches along all 4 sides, exactly the same as what we've just done. And as soon as you've done your measuring, you probably can't see my marks, but I've done exactly the same again. I'm going to go ahead and cut. I'm not going to draw a line, I'm just going to go ahead and cut them all. So you should end up with that. So a top folding octagonal card. So that is going to stick on the inside, then it should hopefully match up. Mine's not quite, some of my angles aren't quite right, but it's not too bad. Let's just turn this around and see if it fits better this way around. Yeah, that fits better that way around. Okay, so we can go ahead and I can stick this down. So I literally want to stick, so you're going to have it as a top folding card. So that's where you're going to write in there. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick this down. Okay, so that's what you should end up with. So it looks a bit like a stop sign actually, but anyway, that's not what we're heading for. So now you want a piece of pattern paper that is 5.5 by 5.5, and on the back of this you also just want to measure in 1 3/4 again, like we did with the other one. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and just cut again along all these lines, and then that should hopefully fit on there. Yeah, should fit quite nicely on there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these off. Okay, so there's your pattern piece. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick this onto the front of that card. Okay, so once you've stuck your piece down, that's what you'll get. You'll also need a white piece to go in here. It'll be the same size as your pattern piece, so 5.5 by 5.5, and you'll need to do exactly the same again with your 1 3/4 to fit in there. If your mat is obviously white, then it doesn't matter. If you're worried about like things being slightly off, because some of my lines aren't quite right, you know, they're not quite even, you can always do it by hand rather than just measuring it. Or if you've got a die that's big enough, you can use that. Okay, so now what I want to do, so if we close the front doors, and I'm just going to turn this round, what we want to do is we're going to measure in along this cut edge here, and we're going to mark at 1 1/4. So here 1 1/4, and then measure up 1 1/4, and then we also need to do the same on these doors. We can just extend that line there like that. And then what we'll do is we want to measure halfway along here. So this measures, well actually let's do it this way around. If we go from there to there, that's 6 inches. So halfway, 3 inches is here. And then the same here. You can do this before you cut your corners off if you want. It's a little bit easier. And you can go right from the edge. But anyway, so like that. And then if you put your ruler, so this is like halfway here. You put your ruler on top so it lines up with the marks. You then want to come in 1 1/4 inch from the edge. So 1 1/4 is there, and 1 1/4 in from here. So 1 1/4, which is there. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to need to cut. So let me just get my ruler back in again. There. We're going to need to cut from that mark down. We're going to need to cut from that mark that we did 1 1/4 inch in down till we reach the gatefold, and then again from that one down. So this is halfway. So this should be, if you measure it here, that should be 3 inches. Yep, so it's halfway. Okay, so we're going to cut along here and along here. Now I'm going to use a pair of scissors. Oh, actually no, I'm going to use a Stanley knife for this, just to make sure I'm definitely getting it in a straight line. If you've got a trimmer that works, you can use that, but I'm definitely going to just want to use this to make sure it's okay. Okay, so next we need to do some scoring. So you need to take your score tool and a ruler, and you're going to score from the mark you made up to the end of the cut line. And you're going to do that on all 4 pieces. So 1 there, and then also from the cut line to this mark above it. And then the same on the other side. Looks a bit like a sweet, this does, when it's opened up. So once you've done that, you're then going to bend these up. If you want to use the ruler, just to make sure you're getting them, you know, nice and level. And they want to fold back like that. Okay, so you should end up with that, hopefully. So now we just need to decorate. Now these pieces here, you can decorate if you want to. I haven't cut out bits for that yet. I'm probably gonna, I don't know, I might leave it. Or I might put gems on it, I'm not sure. But anyway, for these bits around here, now if you want to cut out a piece that magically fits that, you're very welcome. But I really didn't want to do that. So I've devised a way of decorating it, which I think will work. So this is, I've got 4 matte cards that are 1.5 by 2.25, and on top of them I've put 4 pattern pieces that are 1.25 by 2, and these are just going to go in here like that. So one there, just making sure they're kind of central behind each one there, and one here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick those down. Okay, little side note here, when you're lining up your pattern panels, what I would do is make sure that your border here is even. If the border here isn't even, it doesn't matter, because these are going to fold back, so you're not really going to see that border, but you are going to see this outside border, so prioritise that over everything else. Okay, so next you're going to need 2 matte pieces that are 1.5 by 1.5 and 2 pattern pieces that are 1.25 by 1.25. 1 matte and 1 pattern need to be cut in half diagonally. Okay, so let's deal with those first. So just going to I've put tape on the back because it makes it easier then to stick it down. So we're going to just cut this in half diagonally, and the same with this one. I would definitely go for a non-directional paper for this stage of decorating, because it's going to make life a lot easier. If you start using directions for the first time you ever make it, you could end up in troubles. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick these pattern pieces onto these matte pieces. Okay, so as you can see, I've stuck down those 2 triangles. Now we need to deal with this. So what we need to do is, with these, we need to cut them into quarters diagonally. So they're going to be very, very small, but that's what you need to do. So if you want to, you can go in half. In fact, what I think I might do, just for continuity, that's the word I'm looking for, because I've got half here, and it'd be quite nice to have a half here, you could, if you wanted to, cut them in half diagonally, stick them down, and then cut them in half again. And I think that's what I'm going to do, because I think otherwise what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with a bit of a weird border. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to cut, so in case you got lost with what I was saying, I've put tape again on the back. So I'm going to cut this in half diagonally. Not very well, but anyway. And the same with this one. And then stick these patterns down onto the mats. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these over actually, like that, put them back together again, and then just draw a line down the middle so I can cut them into quarters diagonally. So then what we need to do is we just need to go ahead and stick these on to here. So that one's going to go on there like that. I'm going to butt them right up against that edge so they look a bit more natural. Just make sure you remember which quarter goes with which quarter, if you know what I mean. Okay, so now I've done that, I actually feel like these do need something. So to decorate these, I'm going to use a 2 by 2 square of matte, and a 1.5 by 1.5 square of pattern. And I'm literally going to cut these in half, not in half, in quarters diagonally. So I'm now going to go ahead and stick my patterns onto my mats, and then I'll stick them onto the card. Okay, so I found a greeting, so I'm just going to put that in the middle. Now, I know it's covering up with butterflies, but yeah, it just is. It is what it is. So I'm going to go and stick that down. Okay, so I've stuck my greeting down, so that's pretty much it. I mean, the only thing really I need left to do is make my white piece of card in the middle, but as I said before, it's exactly the same as what you did with the pattern, and same measurement, so it would be 5.5 by 5.5, and again, you just measure in from the corner 1 3/4 on all 4 sides. So it's exactly the same as the pattern piece, but just as a white piece. So I just need to do that, and then we're done. So yeah, so that's the card for today. So I hope you liked it. Please don't forget to subscribe. And like, and leave a notification, leave a comment down below, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. If you want to become a member, please do just hit the little join button below, and yeah, and I'll see you next time. Bye.